So we're going to start the meeting, and someone suggested at another meeting, an audience participant, that they don't know who's talking, and so what I want to do is for everybody to introduce themselves so they know who's here. So I can start, and I'm Ann Mazar, and I'm the chair of the Ladies.
Peter Coffin.
And Peter Coffin is representing the Conservation Commission. Dan is just here. You introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, what is, Dan, who are you, what are you doing? What's your purpose?
I'm just here. Ann asked me to sit in.
What is your?
I'm the director of Parks and Rec in Mendon.
Yeah, got it. I'm sorry, it's just very echoey, so it's a little hard to hear.
I wonder, you, when they're not talking, that might help. And then Barry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Barry Iderola, Planning Board.
And Kathy?
Kathy Schofield, Historic Commission.
Okay, and Dan and Kathy are visitors. They're not on the committee. They're just at the meeting. And Carolyn is a guest at the meeting. You want to introduce yourself? Carolyn?
Sure, I'm Carolyn Barthel. I live at 50 Asylum Street, and I'm a guest.
Right. So, actually, since Carolyn is here, at the last town meeting, we voted to have an alternate member on the land use committee. And so the process to get this person on, it was approved by the Attorney General. And the process to get this person on is to make a suggestion to the select board. I sent an email to the Conservation and Planning Board because they can also make a suggestion for people to be appointed. And then the select board will appoint the person. And so Carolyn is interested in being on the land use committee because she has an interest in the energy side of things, because the land use committee, we adopted the green communities, we helped foster the Solarized Mass and all the energy programs. And so that's what her skill set is. And also, when we interviewed for the position that Frank Nero filled, Leah Bada Whiting showed up, and she was very interested in being on the committee. But her issue is she teaches at night, and so she can't get to the meetings, but she's helped in other ways, like on Solarized Mass Plus. So Carolyn, do you want to just say why you'd like to be on the committee, maybe?
Why I'd like to be on it? I think I would like to, I think coming down to how the town uses its land, the homeowners, the businesses, the public land, all needs to be, we need to think very carefully about how we can make ourselves more sustainable with our energy usage. And because this is getting down to the micro level, but we need to do it at that level for it to make any kind of dent in a macro level. So I was the Solarized Mendon coach back in 2012, and in 2020 I was the Solarized coach for Mendon, for the Mendon Upton Solarized Mass Plus program. So we already have solar panels, we have battery storage, we have electric vehicle, an electric vehicle, and we're going to get geothermal for our property. So we're in the process of that. So, there are lots of different ways that we can make our town more sustainable, and this is one. Energy is certainly one part of it.
So does anybody have any questions for Carolyn?
How many, we're a 5-member board?
We're a 5-member board, and so we added an alternate position, which would be 6. And that person, like for example, if you didn't show up tonight and the alternate showed up, then that person could serve like in your position and fulfill the quorum
Or say tonight, like Frank's night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then, attend all the meetings because then, we give input, but they just wouldn't be able to vote on the meetings where we have a quorum from the land use committee.
I have a question for Carolyn. Carolyn, you said that you have solar panels and electric vehicle that is on your own personal level.
Yes.
And how do you see that kind of expanding into the community on a broader scale?
Well, I think part of it is education. I think people, I mean, we have done this Solarize Mass Plus program, and we offered a lot of different technologies for that. But I think it takes a while for people to kind of get on board.
Yeah.
And so for people to understand that we still have a website up from our program that people can use as a resource to understand about the different technologies and what financial incentives there are to help it make ease the financial pain of it. To be able to weigh the financial aspect of it in terms of how people want to spend their money and how to improve their lifestyle by becoming more sustainable. It's there's that, and along the way, there are going to be more and more programs that are going to be available for towns to take advantage of, or for people in towns, maybe not directly towns, but for people in towns to become more educated and take advantage of different technologies that are available for homeowners and businesses to deal with their homes and transportation needs.
Excellent. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess what I'd like to add to that is probably could apply for more grants and be more involved in programs. It's been sort of me doing that, and I can only do so much, so it would be helpful.
I'm certainly willing to that is a piece that I'm not familiar with, but I'm happy to ease the burden.
Mm-hmm.
Is there no full-time or part-time staff in person? Wasn't there a position?
Oh, well, the land use committee, we help them to become a green community. And then we can apply for grants, which we have. And when we apply for a grant, we can set aside money for an administrative position. So when we're working on those projects, Mark Reel was that person at one point, and now Bill McHenry's that person. Except for Bill McHenry's not going to be doing that in the future. But, something. But
that's function of the grant. And so we don't
Right.
have the grant now, or we're finishing up the grant?
We don't have a grant right now, but in the next cycle, would like to apply for one. And Dan does facilities, so, we're trying to, and we also have to track all our energy usage. And so we're trying to pull Dan in to that a bit. But there's not really on this devoted to that. And like Carol and I, we applied for the Solarize Mass program. And there's other things that come up that I just don't have time to look into. So having someone else that could do that would be great,
That charging station thing.
Exactly.
It's still kind of in limbo.
Yeah, like the charging stations, we would like to get more in town, but it's sort of like Dan doesn't have time, I don't have time to look into that,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think we are just, there are going to be more opportunities and we don't necessarily know what they all are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the state has a commitment to retrofit 1 million homes by 2030. And we're not anywhere near that. So, this is some of the things that the state is beginning to offer, and that pieces of legislation that are in front of at the State House right now being considered. Those are all things that are all going to play into what we do in our town.
Kathy, did you have another question? I just put your hand down.
No,
So you-
no, no, I'm all set.
All right. Barry, did you have a question?
No, I'm all set.
All right. Okay, so I guess, I can't make a motion, but, if someone else, well, first of all, if someone else has a suggestion for someone else that wants to be on the land use committee, please say it, suggest it. And if not, maybe someone could make a motion that we would,
I'll make a motion that we recommend that Carolyn Barthel be appointed as alternate member. If that's a request to the select.
yeah. Do you want to second that, Barry?
Yeah, second.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay, so we'll, give that to the select board and then hopefully, we'll see if other people were appointed or suggested by the other committees and then, someone will be appointed.
Great. Wonderful. All right, to be continued. All right, great, thank you.
Yeah. You're
Do you
welcome.
want me to hang on here or do you want me to, it's up to you.
Well,
Why'd you stay on and participate? It's a public meeting.
Yeah.
You're not going to be,
Sure.
you
Okay,
can start out if you're available.
thanks, Peter. Okay,
Actually, one of the things that I wanted to do was pick a permanent night that we could have our meetings. And so how is the second Tuesday of the month for people? At, let's say, 7 o'clock?
Works for me.
That's good for me.
Does that work for you, Carolyn, if, you end up being that person?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Peter and Barry, did you have a chance to look at the minutes?
I think I scanned them real quick. Jump down.
Barry, did you have a chance to look at them?
I did. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, and it's for many dates, but they were
All the
sent,
dates-
yeah,
All the dates that are open.
okay.
Wow, that's for the whole year, huh? For two,
Yeah, we
it's all
just-
second for 2/1, 2/17, 3/3, 4/21, and 9/22.
Yeah, I don't know why we just kept on not approving the minutes. I mean, so,
Because of virtual meetings.
yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next thing I'd like to talk about is the Trask property. That's one reason Kathy is on. And Kathy and Dan and some other people visited the property and looked at it. And so I wanted to hear their feedback on how the visit went and what ideas they might have for the property. Do you want to start, Dan?
Sure. So, I mean, I think, overall, I think I guess to me, I would see the best use of that property as a future location for a school, 100 years from now, maybe. The land, the school district wanted it when they were building Clough and Memorial, and it was not for sale at the time. So I would think that's probably main use there. I don't know if there's potential recreation potential up there. Unfortunately, right now with the situation with the life estate, that kind of interfered with really active use of that property right now.
Yeah, I should probably explain that this property was given to the town, but there's a life estate on it. And the person that has a life estate on it isn't living there. And so we had originally had an arrangement where that person would get like 5 acres and that would be given to them and then the town would get the rest of the property. But then it got complicated, so the town now owns it with the life estate. But it would be nice to get out of that and So we're trying to look at, I mean, the two options would be to buy the person that's in the like estate, give them some kind of compensation, or do the land swap, which town council, the lawyers, the estate, everybody liked that idea.
I mean, it's a nice historic home. It's a two-family home, assuming it's at all viable. It would be really nice to see that preserved, flip it, let somebody live there, absolutely. The barn is beautiful, and we could certainly use parks when we get up there,
Is it one barn?
but it's one barn. I mean, there's some issues up there. There's old vehicles, there's probably all sorts of God knows what, hazards and crap lying around, but there'd be a way to save that house somehow, because otherwise it's just gonna get burned down. It'd be a party and it'd be
It seemed to me though, if the use is to be for a school or something 50, 100 years from now,
yeah.
why do we have to do anything until then? Just let it sit. Second of all, if it was to be developed, if you're going to carve off the house and try to do affordable housing, or if you're going to carve off the house and sell it to an abutter, I did look at the whole layout, but it's a long, narrow driveway. And as soon as you start having a mixed use, it's going to be hard sharing that driveway with a house and anything else, especially a school. So whether you could widen the entrance, anything is doable with enough money if there's enough land there. But seems to be a little awkward that the house is like right at the entrance. So you got to kind of go past the house, which is all right, but if you carve it off and sell it, it's going to impact how the town can develop it.
That's true. And one thing we have to be super careful about, we cannot extend that road in any way without being very careful what we do. Because risk is, there's a bunch of undeveloped land back here that's in private hands, that all they need is frontage to build. So that's something to think about. You would not want to extend this road too much.
I think also just to your, comment that, well, if we're not gonna build a school, like, here's why would we want to settle it now? The estate said that it could be open space, it could be, like recreation land for sports fields, or a school. So it could, right now, it could be sports fields, or it could be open space that we could be enjoying, and then also just the risk, like Dan said, that property would get damaged because no one's living there right now. The town owns it, but it's life estate, so it's just a really awkward situation. And the lawyers on both sides were not crazy about the way it was left.
Well, life estate is, you could say it's an awkward situation, but it's kind of a traditional way of passing on property. So I see it as a gift from heaven. And so if the only gift is, okay, you got to wait 50 years to get it, okay, as opposed to, no, we got to maximize it now. I just don't see the need to move on.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
Peter makes a good point. I mean, even to put sports fields up there, you'd have some weirdness, basically driving up somebody's driveway to get to them. So you would have to think about how that will all work out.
There is an in and out, though. You could have an in and out, the way it was designed. But Kathy, it sounds like you want to say something.
Peter, I thought a lot about that, the width of the road, the accessibility. And if you take into consideration how wet that land is on one side of that roadway going in, expanding that road, I think would not be a viable option. I think looking down the road, maybe we go upland on the property and build a wider road up there and have the house accessible through that roadway, and maybe close off Trask Road completely. So it could be.
Well, it needs access. It needs, what other frontage does it have, or does it have?
I think, Ian, what's the additional frontage on that property?
I mean, I think it's
Just Trask Road.
just Trask Road.
Which does not touch Hopedale at all.
Yeah.
So you'd have to improve Trask Road at least up to where it ends. And then I guess you'd have to, if you to your point of view, you'd have to separate it out to a driveway versus a continued road up there.
I mean,
So what is its status now? Is it a public unimproved road? It's been
Trask
Trask
Road,
Road,
Trask Road is a town road.
but it's privately owned, or who owns the frontage both sides? It's all owned by Trask, right?
Well, Trask Road is funny, it goes straight to the house, but then there's like an old car path that goes to the right,
I think
and that's different.
it
than-
stops like right at the house. Like if you go, I don't know how to describe it, if you go up there, like where the house is, that's the end of the.
Okay, so who owns the frontage on Trask Road going in?
I think we do now, because we own 6, we own this.
Yeah, so
If
if,
these people
if-
don't have frontage on.
if we own all the frontage, no one can tap into it.
Right,
Well, no, what's that house on the right?
that's what I'm,
They would have frontage on Trask Road, right? They are in essence the corner.
That's true.
Unless, I don't know the property, because the property, if it was a public way, unless Trask or the owner kept the sliver like we did on somewhere else, took 5-10 feet on the road to stop the abutter from having access to the road. I don't know if they
I
can.
think, I'd have to dig this up again, I think we own, I don't know, it says additional frontage on Trask Road, very narrow. And there's like I'd have to figure out what exactly we do and don't own.
I don't really care, and I don't think it affects, but it does need to be given a lot of thought if that parcel is going to be carved out. It
Right.
looks like parcel.
I mean, this is the house right here, so you're right, it's like smack at the end of the road.
And then the town owns the parcel to the left, so,
Immediately to the left side of the
yeah,
sign.
so the access could go into the left and then to the right of the house.
Right, but that's the kind of wettish side.
Yeah, that's the wet area. That's what will make it complicated.
So it can be done, but I just don't see the need to do it now and spend money and.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily have to spend money if you just swap, you know what I mean? Because then the town would own the land and then
So who are we swapping with? For what?
with the life estate person, because that's what the.
So what are we swapping with the life estate person? You're
Well-
saying you're carving up
Well,
and then swapping?
I don't think we're swapping anything, I think we're carving off the house lot. Essentially giving it to him.
So that we can use the other 90% that we're not, 90 acres that we're not gonna use for 10, 20 acres. So why? The guy's gonna die in 20 years.
Or, who knows, but
But I guess the only reason to do it now that I see is the risk of the house.
The risk of the house, what? Burning down? Okay, so we've lost,
So that I guess the only argument to do something now would be if there's an option to preserve the house. The reality is, if we flip it, is he gonna preserve, or is it just gonna end up getting sold to the developer down anyway?
or if we own the house and he owns the life estate, I guess we could take insurance. If that's a concern, you take insurance.
I think we have insurance on the property.
Yeah, but insurance doesn't pay, point is to keep the house.
Yeah.
I mean, so Kathy and Dan, or Kathy, I mean, is the house worth putting like preservation on it?
I mean, I might consider putting a preservation restriction on it just to, if we decide it's worthy of standing, it's a beautiful house. But it has dry laid foundation, so it's not sealed up. And honestly, it's very hard to determine, what's going on inside, especially where it's so close to the wetlands. So we would want to be able to take a look and see if the basement is wet. There are few, if any, gutters on the property, on the house, which there's, apparent water damage, and water is really, the catalyst for a lot of these older homes, meeting their demise. And then in the barn, if you peek in, you can see that the beams, the 2 support beams are bending or split, and there's a good chance if the barn is not stabilized, and a lot of snow weight gets on there, we might not be looking at a viable structure anymore. So, I mean, I think being able to evaluate it more thoroughly, it is, like I said, looking in the window, there's still an old wood stove inside the kitchen area. It doesn't look like it's been improved much at all. So it has a lot of its original features. But we have to decide if it's worth saving. How do we save it? What's the best route to doing it, or do we just let it go?
So, I mean, a couple things. Oh, Carolyn.
I have a question. I'm sorry to be, I just, how old is this house?
I believe it's 18, Dan's going to pull up the number, I'm sure, 1840s.
Okay, wow.
1850.
Yeah, so it sits on what used to be the Saltbox Road, which ran from Connie Beal's property all the way down into Hopedale. So in lieu of Hopedale Street, they used to use Saltbox Road to do all of their transportation between Mendon and Hopedale. There were two roads, actually. There was the Great Road, and then which was established by the Native Americans, and then Saltbox Road. And Connie's great-grandparents, I think, used to deliver milk down on that path. And David Lowell was talking about, jumping on the Davenport wagon and riding into town on the milk wagon. So, the road is historic in its own, right. It is part of the Davenport properties, which was much larger. I believe that was Misco, the land that Misco sits on, and everything across the street from Misco, the Beal property, the Elaine Gardner property, and the two Kevin Meehan properties.
And it was also the Misco Road properties in there also, I think. Some of their over there. So I have a question. So let's say you did look in, we got permission to look in the house, and it was something that you thought would be worth preserving. I mean, it seems to me that then the next step would be something like what happened with the Cox property, where we sold it and then a person bought it and restored it.
Correct.
I mean, the town can put money into it, but if we don't know what we're doing with it, it just seems like,
I think some sort of partnership would be the way to do it. I guess the big question is it viable? What condition is it in? Maybe you look at it and say, you know what, it can just sit here, or it's in immediate need of something. I don't know. I guess.
So, I can find out.
Like I said, I guess, to Peter's point, it does open up some questions about, we really have to think about how you can carve that off, but not impinge upon future access to that site too, so.
Right.
Because there really isn't a lot of room to do a new road separate from Trask Road anywhere here.
No, it could be done, but you're gonna have to, even at George Street, you or the town paid for the septic system, right? It's only $1,000, but that's money well spent. Yes, you did. Yes, you
Okay,
did.
we did.
Because you get a lot more money if you can show that, no, you've got a developable lot. Everything else is the risk of whoever's going to put a bid on it. And it's an old house. It's nothing fantastic, but it's not going to be a money maker, but it would be it's not going to be affordable housing if you got to fix it up. Right.
Well, I think
it could be a two-family maybe.
But I don't think it would be too costly for the town to do it. I think what it would have to be a situation where Jeffrey would get the lot with the house with the preservation restriction on it, and maybe septic plant.
And he sells that.
Exactly. And so then that goes to the new owner, and then they restore it, and then the town owns the other land.
I can see doing that if you, much like George Street, you have restrictions on it, so it's not going to get turned into something that's going to get out of control. Or the reason to do it is to keep the historic nature of it anyways.
So it sounds.
Can you put those types of restrictions on it would be the big question, because that's what things like.
It's all in negotiation with him, what it's worth, because it's worth less if it has restrictions on it.
Well, but the thing is that right now he has nothing because he's not living there. So it would be saying, listen, we'll give you this lot, you know, you can sell it, it has a restriction on the house, but, you know, preservation, it could be like the Cox property.
But I have a hard time saying, what's to stop the person from buying it and letting the house down, tear it down? You're gonna tell them, no, you can't tear down a building that you just paid for? You can put up a conservation restriction, you can't put up a thou shalt maintain kind of thing.
That's what a preservation restriction is. The town could sue them for failing to upkeep.
Yeah.
But you know, would the town do that? I don't know. Would it be worth it? Or would he say, you know what, it's not worth my time?
There was an accident, fire happens, and I get the insurance and I'm not gonna rebuild it.
Right.
I don't know how that works. And I mean, you're right. We could do all that for nothing.
So, well, so Kathy and Dan, do you think, would you like to get inside the house and look at it with maybe a building inspector or something like that?
I think that would be worth it.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, well, let me try to arrange that then, okay?
Maybe somehow phrase it that, you know, our angle is just to make sure that it's safe, that it's stable, that it's winterized. I don't know. I mean, you know, to his credit, he did a lot to really keep up that property. It was that strange, at least that would give us more.
Okay.
I guess I would agree. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily super urgent that someone has to
Okay.
get the info on the house.
Ian, do we know if there is still power at the house? Heating system is working?
No.
Has all been shut off?
So the electric bill was in the estate's name and David Lowell makes permanent service. So the power's off. So if Gagnon wants power, he can put the power bill in his name and turn it. He says.
So there's no
otherwise.
power and
No.
drained, no water.
The water, I have no idea. It's a well.
Hopefully it was drained.
This one was
Yeah,
but
That's what I'm wondering if, that needs to take place so that pipes aren't bursting and,
Well, it's already been over a winter. That ship sailed if Jeffrey didn't do it.
It's been a couple of years, huh?
Too late now.
Yeah.
has he been out
I
that
haven't-
long?
What?
Has he been out of the house that long?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Barry, what did you say?
I said it's too late now. If they didn't do anything to winterize it, it's already frozen.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling, just based on, that he's taken the steps.
I would think so. David Lowell, the estate would have. Should.
Jeffrey seemed to care about the property. I think he wouldn't have, he was when we met with him that time.
Mm-hmm.
He took the care to block the road off and secure it.
Well, it seems like he has some issues with the town, or I don't know the history of the lot, but it's like the signs that he put up.
Yeah, I think he's one of those sovereign citizen type people that doesn't want the government telling him what to do. I think that's part of what makes it so difficult is
Okay.
I think he just wants to be left alone. Now we want to go in his house and go through all the stuff.
Good blame.
I don't know.
But he's not living there though, and so, which it could be fine, but if we did something, it would be more beneficial for him, if he could sell it, but why don't you guys look at it and see what you think? I'll try to set something up, like,
Yeah, that would be great.
okay,
Because I think it's very borderline at this point, if, looking at the exterior condition, it's, it could go either way, but. And it may
Okay.
even still have knob and tube in there, so we don't know anything, basically.
all right, I'll see what I can do,
Yeah, I
I'll get
mean,
back with you.
my fear was squatters, that somebody takes up residence in there and then we are screwed. So, anything we can do to make sure it's secure. Especially with what's going on. Again,
Dan, is that maybe something that we can, or the town could consider doing is like, putting up a chain at the end of the driveway and giving a key to,
I was thinking that maybe we should even just a big barrel that says road closed right at the end of Trask Road, just to stop, discourage people from going up there. It is blocked off at the end of the road. When you get up to the house, there's a big chain with no trespassing. But I think, right on Hopedale Street, just a big, road closed, keep out, posted no trespassing.
Yeah,
You just have to talk to Alan about that one, right?
Yeah. Some cheap insurance.
Or the police, or the fire, just because if there was some fire, then we'd have to get down there, but, it's a beautiful property though,
it's gorgeous.
it's gorgeous, yeah. All right, well, I'll let you know what I find out,
Thanks, Ann.
all right.
I will add, I don't know if any of you have been following this mess in Hopedale with the railroad, but it's hopefully looking more positive that they may ultimately buy all that land.
The town, and keep it as
Yeah,
parkland,
so, this, it almost ties right into all the Hopedale Park
Yeah.
lands now.
Does this land go to the town line or is this?
Yes. Well, so I talked to Connie about this. There's an old, fire road back there that's shown on the maps that she doesn't think it's active anymore at all. But it goes all the way to the border with Upton. And then I'm assuming this was also Trask's land in Upton too. And then there's a weird chunk in the back that's owned by that Blackbrook Reality. Whatever they are. This.
All right, what's next on the agenda?
that thin piece there, yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on. So I just wanted to give an update on 32 George Street and the encroachment and the wall that was built in the open space. Alfonso's actually taking it out. Did you know that?
I just learned at the
Oh,
Conservation
that's
Commission
okay,
meeting.
yeah. But he was supposed to go to the Conservation Commission and
With a plan,
with a plan, so. the
sketched out on an agreed upon plan of action at a meeting in the field. It sounds like he's just gone ahead and doing what he wants.
So, I mean, it's good that he's moving on it, but he needs to meet with the Conservation Commission, so they're gonna send a letter to him. And then, and then also the other side of George Street where there's encroachment, we're gonna have that surveyed and Peter's gonna sort of monitor that, you know. I'll get it set up and then, our surveyor will mark it. And you'll check it out.
Okay.
And then, on January 12th, 22 at 6:15 at a select board meeting, there'll be a public hearing on the 5-year land use plan that we do every year. And it's just for your information, it's not usually very momentous. It's usually about 1 minute long. So anyways, that's happening. And that's all I have. Somebody else have
Motion to
anything?
adjourn.
That was quick, Barry.
All right, then second,
I guess I can second that.
all right. Does anybody have anything else, or are we all set? Good.
I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
All right,
Aye.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Same, Barry.
All right,
Take care.
be in touch, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Bye.
The quorum is 3. We're 5 members.